Okay. Thank you for coming, Damon. And also, hello to all the people who might be watching this after this is over. Yeah, Luca and I are gonna talk a little bit about our new program that we're really excited to be rolling out and recruiting for. It's called KINdling Pride, and we're gonna chat all about it. Yeah, so what are we going to talk about today? Luca and I are going to introduce ourselves really quickly. We're going to talk about Squish's mission, vision, values, very brief overview, and then we'll kind of go through what this program is, the curriculum we'll go through over the 6 month long cohort, the expectations that we would have for participants, and also what you can expect from us, how to apply, and then we'll have some Q&A at the end. So yeah, um, I'm Avi. I use they them pronouns. I am the peer support organizer at Squish. I kind of wear a lot of different hats and also have kind of been transitioning into a bunch of new roles internally, but essentially I lead the peer support line, which is our oldest program. It is our helpline where we provide peer support and emotional support and resource referrals to callers. I also help co-run the Queer Youth Peer Leaders program, which is a queer youth centered program that me and my coworker run at two St. Louis high schools, and then this program, the Intergenerational Storytelling program, which we will share a lot more about today. Some other fun facts about me. I am a transplant to St. Louis. I got my start in organizing, doing police and prison abolition work in St. Louis. I also really love board games, and I have two dogs, and I love dogs. And I love queer youth and hanging out with and empowering queer youth. So that is definitely an area of passion and something I've been really excited to grow my work more into in the past year or so. Luca, what about you?
Yeah, should we switch spotlights?
Oh yeah. Ta-da!
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Luca, they, them pronouns, and I'm also going through a role transition into a more programmatic role called resource building storyteller. In this role, I lead a few programs that are essentially about helping community members' resource dreams come true and helping us work towards queer abolition through learning how to better address conflict and build stronger connection with each other. So those programs are the Squish Book Resource Guide, KINdling Pride, which is this program that I co-lead with Avi, and community events. I'm also tasked with leading the formation of a community advisory board. So if you're interested in talking about that, let me know. A common theme across all the work I do is I feel really energized by group facilitation, community building, peer support, and transformative justice. I think all of those things are so important in helping us create real webs of community care and take care of each other outside of prison and police. My background is in training and working on a sexual assault hotline. It was a really energizing and inspiring formative experience for me to be part of a survivor-led group, and it really informed my analysis of gender-based violence and power dynamics. Squish was an organization I co-founded in 2019. It was really important to me at the time to plant roots in St. Louis, get to know my St. Louis queer and trans community. I really think that peer support and community-based care is an important alternative to transforming and interrupting harm in our community. And how we respond in the aftermath of harm and conflict and disconnect, I think is some of the day-to-day ways we can practice abolition outside of even like larger systems when they feel like they're outside of our control. So that's a bit about me. I know Avi shared some fun facts, so I also share some. I really like video games. I recently adopted a cat named Ash. I used to think I was a dog person, but I'm slowly being convinced into being a cat person, I think. And then I'm trying to get more into the outdoors, including I really like kayaking and large bodies of water. Okay, that's it. I'll pass the mic back to Avi.
Cool. You can pick a team dog or team cat, I suppose. Okay, so a little bit about Squish. We are a grassroots community-based organization, collective. We do a whole lot of different things. We started as the peer support line and we ran the helpline, but over the years we've kind of expanded our programs to include a lot of other realms. But some of the themes are facilitating healing spaces and providing non-carceral support for queer people. Um, Really, we're a group of queer organizers and activists working towards our collective liberation by creating anti oppressive community spaces and really radically reimagining our systems of healing and support. And so we are working towards a liberated St. Louis metro area where people of all genders and sexualities live with power, safety, and abundance. And some of our sub goals but under that are anti-oppressive peer support, which is kind of the bread and butter of what we do, healing justice through transformative relationships and transformative justice, and then systems change, which is one of our newer areas of work, but something that in some ways we've done kind of in various forms throughout the years, including education, advocacy, storytelling, and coalition building. Um, Yeah. Luca, do you think we should do participant introductions? Damon, do you want to introduce yourself for the recording?
Mhm.
Um, okay, cool. Perfect.
So hi y'all, my name is Damon, he, him pronouns. Um, what piqued my interest about this program, I want to do better about telling my story. I often don't really think my story is very important or like just me in general is important, but I'm realizing that, my story is very important and unique and it deserves to be shared. Even if I don't like to speak or don't want to do it. Um, it can help somebody, and I love helping people. I love looking after people and taking care of people. And if my story can help, yeah, I would like to do that. Um, what is one topic you want to learn more about today? I don't know. I'm just here, and I just want to see. I just want to see what the session is like.
Cool. That sounds great. Thanks for being here, Damon. Um,
Thank you for
and
having me.
I also relate to not liking speaking or telling my story, so same. um, cool. Okay. I will pass it to Luca to kind of take us through an overview of the program.
Well, what do y'all think of not doing the speaker thing, spotlight thing, just so I can see your reactions? And I feel like we've all introduced ourselves.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that works.
Okay.
Because also I was doing the same thing too. I like to look at people's reactions as well.
Yeah. Okay, so an introduction to this program, and feel free to jump into questions anytime. So, Kindling Pride is an experience for queer youth and their families. So, if you want to learn how to navigate conflict more productively with your family, build bridges across differences, and facilitate understanding across generations, you're in the right place. We define queer and trans pretty broadly, youth as being 13 to 21, family as expansive as well, including chosen family. So on this next slide, we are looking for participants who are either LGBTQIA queer youth aged 13 to 19 or up to 21 max in St. Louis City or County, who wants to feel empowered to own and share your stories, or parents, guardians, siblings, grandparents, or other caretakers who want to build a more resilient relationship with queer young people. Multiple family members can join, including friends, chosen family. And if you value your relationship with your kin, with your family, but you don't always see eye to eye when it comes to gender and sexuality issues, then I hope this program can be supportive for you. In addition, some of the things that would really help someone get the most out of this program include if you feel like you're open to learning about queer issues from outside of your own perspective, if you desire more knowledge and skills to communicate with other people in your family, if you have a growth mindset, If you're experiencing conflict and you want to gain more skills to move through that and repair relationships, and if you feel like you're willing to do storytelling and healing work with each other. Some benefits from this program, because moving through conflict can be a lot of work and it might be something that takes a lot of capacity. We are going to help provide processing and troubleshooting spaces to get peer support from other families around you. We'll provide a free introduction to somatic healing and coaching services. So what do I mean by somatic healing? Somatic means rooted in the body or body up. So that can include East Asian medicine, mindfulness meditation, sound healing, breath work, art therapy, skills for change, which is a specific type of coaching. We can also provide skill building on how to tell your stories authentically and receive your loved one's stories with care. There's going to be education and discussions on queer terminology, language, how to be a good accomplice, conflict navigation, healing, justice, and more. And we're going to provide spaces for identity exploration through art and creative expression, because we know that just sitting in the classroom and talking about queerness is not always the only way or like the main way we should engage with identities. Next slide, please. So program logistics, this is going to be a program that has 3 2-hour sessions a month for about 6 months. So right now it's tentatively January to June. If this feels like a lot of time and energy, we're open to changing the format of the program based on participants' needs. It's likely going to be on a weekday evening based on the availability of the families involved. Some spaces are going to be separate for youth versus family members. So we are going to have like identity specific groups and breakout rooms, but other times will be combined. So all being in the same group and sharing with each other. And this is completely free to participate because it's funded by a grant called System of Care. Next slide. So in terms of timeline, we're currently in the first, or rather zero phase. Phase zero is launch and recruitment, which is going to happen till between now and December. Our ideal is to recruit around 5 to 6 families. Between now and December, we're also going to do intake calls. So those are calls to where you get to share what you want out of the program, any knowledge or skill gaps you feel like you or your family members have, and you get to share what skills you want to learn. Next year, starting in January, is when phase two, the cohort programming happens. So the curriculum is going to be designed with information we gathered from you from the intake calls. We're going to shape the curriculum based on participants' needs, and it's going to be around 19 2-hour sessions in total for the youth and the family, for a total of about 38 hours of programming. All of this is free, and participants will, after the wrapping up programming, get to engage in focus groups or interviews to share what went well and what didn't. And we have a big focus on tailoring the experience to what's helpful for you. So throughout the way, you can give feedback, and we're also going to focus on evaluating where your skills are for navigating conflict, providing peer support, coping skills, and noticing if there are any changes in the relationship between participants. So relationships between youth and their caregivers, their family members, that's really at the core of what this program is meant to try and heal and repair and improve. Feedback will also help shape the next iteration of this program, so the future queer youth and their families get to benefit from the feedback of this first round of piloting this program. Our intention with this is really to design an educational program that reduces the number of queer youth who experience homelessness or houselessness due to parental or family rejection. And we know that that's such a pandemic throughout this country of queer youth being kicked out by their families because of lack of understanding, hostility, conflict, prejudice, and stigma. So we want to be able to address these issues from the family up, and in a way that helps build capacity for families to address their own conflict going forward. We're going to be flexible about the number of people joining from each family unit. We're imagining maybe anywhere from 1 to 4 adults or 1 to 4 people in addition to the young person. And we're going to prioritize the people most involved in the youth's life so that they feel like they have a sense of agency and that this program is centering their needs. It's a 6-month-long split cohort model. So we use the term cohort to just mean like different tracks or groups of people engaging in the program. There's the youth cohort and the family member or caregiver cohort, and they might have different goals, but also overlap in some programming. We're going to pause soon for questions, but I just want to share a little bit about why we even started this program. We know that across the country, there are attacks on queer and trans youth and their families and our rights. And we know that parental support and family acceptance are consistently strong predictors of well-being for queer youth, which means they're very important to maintain during times of difficulty and political hostility. We know that young people who feel heard, valued, and supported by our families tend to have stronger self-esteem, social support, health, and are nearly half as likely to report suicidal thoughts or attempts. Because of that, we dream of healthier families, more communicative and understanding caregivers, and queer youth who get to experience honestly happier childhoods and grow up to be adults that, meet the potential of everything they want to bring to this world and to our community and get to experience support from the people around us. Some of our short-term goals with this program are that you get to walk away with skills in generative conflict, communication, active listening, peer support, creative expression, and storytelling. We hope you walk away better understanding your personal health needs, healing needs, and are more aware of what resources could meet your needs, that you feel more connected to and supported by other families with similar lived experiences, that you better understand how power dynamics work between caregivers and queer youth, and also that caregivers better understand and support queer youth's experiences. Some of our medium-term goals are we hope that family bonds can be repaired through this program, that participants feel like there are other strategies you can use instead of ending your relationship, that people feel more confident having difficult conversations with each other, that you feel more motivated and able to connect across generations. We've heard so often people say, well, they're just not going to get it because they're in Gen X or Gen Z or they grew up in a different time. But how can we still connect despite those differences? And we hope that caregivers feel more motivated and equipped to support the growth and autonomy of their young people. So I'm going to pause here to ask if there are any questions about the program. What did this spark for you? Feel free to jump in with additional thoughts too.
I feel like that felt like a good overview to me. And at the end of the presentation, I think we should have a space for like contact info and stuff. So if y'all have questions for those who are watching this Zoom recording later, feel free to reach out.
Thanks, Avi. Yeah, Damon, anything that resonated with you or felt like is meeting
Yeah.
what you're looking for?
So, so not necessarily for me, since
Mm.
I'm nowhere near 13, 19 years old, like well beyond.
Mm.
Um, it makes me think of like you said, trans youth is under attack, and I think this is very important to bridge the gap between the older generation and the younger generation, and then
Mm.
also giving trans youth or queer youth tools to better not yeah to better I guess not only tell their stories but to talk to their families when it comes
Mm.
to like talking about what they're going through as far as like either they're transitioning or whatever they're going through in their journey in their queer journey.
Mm. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly, David. That's exactly what this program is meant for. Cool. Then, Avi, since I've been talking for a while, how would you feel about doing your own personal sharing first, and then I will go next?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I feel like I in some ways struggled to like know what to say because I feel like I really believe in this program and like really believe in the power of having better conflict skills among families and being able to like communicate openly among families as a way of having more successful and more connecting relationships with between queer youth and their caregivers. But in a lot of ways, I feel like my relationship with my parents never really had the opportunity to do that. And so, in some ways, I feel like that's why I feel really passionate about this program. Is because, like, I feel like I never really had opportunities as a queer child to be able to express my queerness to my family and to my parents. And I think that led to a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of rifts in our relationship, and ultimately, I think ended with us having a relationship that is very fraught and very like difficult to communicate across difference. And so I think I know that that's a really common experience when I talk to other queer people in my life. I know so many of us in the community have really like estranged or just like I don't know, just like tense relationships with our families. But then I also like know people who have great relationships with their parents and who like have really healthy communication styles and are really able to like say, okay, we might not agree on this thing, but like we are going to work through it together and we feel invested enough in our relationship with each other to be able to like work through those differences. And so I can just like see firsthand the difference that that makes in those relationships and also in the quality of life of the people involved in that. And so I think that this program would have been really helpful for me as a queer youth. And I think there's not a lot of programs that, at least that I've seen, that are similar, that are like not a therapeutic or like clinical program, but that really offer families a way to connect with each other and do storytelling work and also just like connect with their peers, whether it's like the caretakers connecting with their own peers, the youth connecting with their peers, to be able to get that support and work through differences across generations. So, yeah, I have a lot of hope for this program. It's also a pilot program, so it's like it feels like there's kind of endless possibilities in what it could be, based on who signs up and what their needs are. So yeah, I really hope that people take advantage of this program and join. I think it's gonna be fun. I would like to consider myself a pretty fun person to be around. So if you sign up, you can hang out with me. It'll be great. I love queer youth. And I also wasn't a queer. I was a queer youth not that long ago. So I don't know. I feel like I have a. I don't know. It's just a fun time. We can like hang out. So that's me. That's my spiel. What about you, Luca?
I'm muted. I was gonna say thanks for sharing, Avi. I think I resonate a lot with what you said about the potential of this program. I think my personal connection is that until very recently, I did not feel like I had a functional relationship with my family, and that caused me a lot of suffering and pain. I remember when I first came out to them, they tried really hard to make me straight, and I'm still not out to them as trans. So they will ask questions like, if you could choose between men and women, then why don't you just choose men? Or like really not be able to see a future for me as a queer person in my community. So I think their fears about things like safety and social acceptance really weighed on me and honestly made our conversations more about them and their fears than about my needs and how they can support me. So I'm really invested in helping other families move through these conversations with a little bit more ease and external support because I also think, under our current capitalist society where monogamy is the norm, often nuclear families end up being very isolated without a lot of other families to talk to or ways of breaking out of like, this is our family problem. We can't tell other people. We have to fix it ourselves. I think in many queer chosen families, we have been able to find ways to find support outside of biological or legal family ties. And I really want to bring that expansive view of what family can mean into this program. In terms of my current relationship with my family, I feel like now that I have more skills to communicate with them, to connect across differences, I actually quite enjoy my current relationship with my family. And that's been quite difficult to get here because we have cultural barriers. My parents are first generation immigrants. I'm also a first generation immigrant. And so we both have our own wounds around sense of belonging and like place and community and isolation from other families around us. So it's taken us a long time to like learn the language around queerness. I have sent them many resources that I'm sure they haven't read, but it really came down to the connection we have and like trying with little moments of connection and difficult conversations that I think it took us like a long time to get to where we are today. I think some of the biggest factors in my current relationship with my family include having learned peer support skills, conflict skills, engaging in some healing for myself, so that I could also see them and their struggles and how they were trying to come to terms with my queerness, and how they were trying to love me. But it also took them time to heal as well, and then to be able to learn the language and tools to understand me. So I think it really took work on both sides, which I really hope is what this program can help with the families who are participating. So that's my personal connection. I guess maybe I'm curious if we want to move on to the next section, or Damon also give you, if you want space to comment or ask questions, I'm happy to share more too. Cool. Okay, back to you, Abby.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Luca. And I think it's really heartwarming to know that, like, yeah, it's possible for repair to happen over time. And it just takes work. So that's cool. Okay, so we are gonna kind of dive into a couple more like details of the program, so y'all know what you're expecting. First, curriculum. I'm gonna kind of go parent cohort first, and then I'll talk about the youth cohort. But for the parent cohort, our main goal is to give caregivers the knowledge and skills to better understand the experiences of queer youth, learn peer support skills to have more connecting conversations with their queer youth, develop skills to navigate interpersonal conflict, and also I think it's really important for parents and guardians to connect with their own stories and explore avenues of creative self-expression. Because I think a great way to relate to queer people's struggles is to also feel bought in for ourselves. Even if, someone might not necessarily identify as queer. So some of those topics include queer allyship. We'll have a few lessons on that. What does it even mean to be an ally, and kind of some terminology things. Identity affirming conversational skills. So this kind of draws on our peer support frameworks that we use throughout our Squish programs. Conflict skills, which we've mentioned a few times. Radical imagination activities. And that basically means that I really like doing these exercises where we get to really imagine what we want to see in a liberated future that isn't really tied to the material or, cultural constraints of the time that we live in now. And so, some might call that like really unrealistic, or, like, oh, you're just dreaming. I think that's true, but I think dreaming is a really important part of understanding what it is we actually want. And so even if we know that we can't get there tomorrow, at least we know what we're working towards. I think also facilitated storytelling sessions, since storytelling is kind of a key piece of this program. I think a lot of really cool things happen when people feel empowered to share their stories on both sides. Group healing sessions and healing justice tools. We have a really radical and awesome group of somatic and holistic healers who we can bring in to both talk about healing justice work and also offer group sessions for participants to really experience that healing. Power dynamics and anti-adultism. This is something I love to talk about and something I've learned a lot about in the last year. So catch me on my soapbox, I guess. Queer youth and family resources. We really enjoy and are, I think, pretty good at connecting people with the resources that they need, even if we can't provide those resources. So those are some of the things you can look forward to as a parent who might be joining this program. For the youth, honestly, a lot of it is similar, but the focus is a little bit different. We really want youth to feel empowered to tap into your inner hopes, dreams, and lived experiences as a queer person and a young person, to find your own power, because I think the way that society is structured and, all of this means that youth, and especially queer and trans youth, are kind of their rights and autonomy are often very violently stripped away from them. And so often youth are kind of beholden to the decisions and whims of the adults around us. And so I think it can be really important to find those pockets of power that we can lean into. Also, learning peer support skills. I think it's really cool when queer youth support each other because I think youth are really actually very equipped to support each other. But also support family members, friends, be able to have affirming conversations with your parents, your caregivers, whoever it may be in your family or chosen family. We would love to empower you to authentically tell your stories and explore those methods of creative self-expression that Luca talked about earlier, and again, learning about youth-centered resources. So some of those in a little bit more detail might include peer support skills, those radical imagination activities again. We love to do art builds and zine workshops. I love a zine, one thing about me. Also, those facilitated storytelling circles, conflict navigation skills. So you'll notice that there's quite a lot of overlap with the adult cohort. Somatic and healing justice tools. Also, I love to talk about youth-centered harm reduction and what that looks like in the context of both like mental health and how, you know, we can think about like abolition in the context of mental health, but also across various things too. And we also are really excited to have an open mic. So we would love for this program to culminate in a sort of performance or some way to have youth really showcase whatever creative expression that they have decided to explore throughout their time in the program. My final note is that these are all ideas that Luca and I have come up with, but we are not currently queer youth. We're queer adults, ex-queer youth, I don't know. But what this means is that we might not necessarily know what all will be the most helpful for you. And so because this cohort is so small, we're really only looking to recruit between 5 and 6 families. And so we're really able to build this curriculum around the unique needs of whoever signs up. And so if you apply to the cohort, you can expect that Luca and I will have a call with you that really goes in depth and gets to, just kind of get to know you more about what you need, what your family needs, and where your relationship is at currently and what your goals are for that relationship moving forward. And we can shape the curriculum around those needs. Okay, last couple slides and then we can stop yapping. But some participant expectations. If you sign up, we hope that you will try to attend all the sessions that we host to the best of your ability. Obviously, things happen, and it's totally okay if you miss some sessions. We just ask that you, when you're signing up, you just be mindful of the time commitment and make sure that you can generally attend. Try your best to stay open to new ideas and be vulnerable, because obviously this interpersonal work is really hard, and I think sometimes it can be really easy for our defenses to go up and for us to feel like, that like I can't be wrong about this. But I think it's really important for us to at least set the intention of trying to stay open and vulnerable, even if, I totally would understand if people get defensive. I get defensive all the time, but I think being able to acknowledge that and like still be able to step back into this space and open ourselves back up is going to be really important for this journey. And finally, that needs assessment call that I just talked about, you'll kind of have to be able to participate in that, but that'll totally be scheduled in your availability prior to the cohort starting in January, and occasionally we might ask you to fill out a survey. That's mostly for our grant funders and not for us, so don't blame us. But we'll try to make it as painless as possible. Some material supports, those group healing sessions with our awesome Starling healers, stipends for all of the different things that are not cohort sessions, so like interviews, focus groups, Also, transportation. If you don't have a car, you don't have access to public transportation, we can hook you up. We have a budget for that, and so please don't let that be a barrier to you participating in this program. Also, food and drinks, because this is going to be on a weekday evening, so dinner will be provided for you during sessions. So get some yummy food. Okay, I think that is all I wanted to say, so I will pass it back to Luca to tell you about how you can apply for this great program.
Thanks, Avi. So the application process we're trying to make as painless as possible. We are going to ask for your name, your contact information. There's some demographic questions and optional questions around your goals and your access needs. So these are just meant to help us gauge whether you're a good fit for this program, whether it's a good fit for you, and what we can do to make it as accessible to you as possible. And we asked that the youth and caregivers to fill out the same form. So there's a first section that's primarily for the youth to fill out, a second section primarily for the caregiver to fill out. And if you need any accommodations or adjustments to make this more accessible, please let us know. We could even hop on a call with you and like talk with you to fill it out with you together. So this next slide shows you what the form looks like. It's called Squish KINdling Pride Program Joint Application Form for Youth and Caregivers. It's got a cute header, and we ask that you apply by November 15th. That's the tentative application deadline we have right now to be able to do the intake calls between now and the end of the year. On this next slide, you'll see our timeline. So because applications are closing on November 15th, we'll be doing the intake calls between November and December, and hopefully releasing application outcomes and program details by mid-December. So that's when you'll receive details like the venue, dates, times, module topics, and you can email intergen.storytelling@thesquish.org if you need a deadline extension, and we'll extend the deadline as needed to be able to fill a cohort. So it kind of depends on how many people apply by November 15th. We're gonna start the program probably in the first or second week of January. We're gonna try and time it so it doesn't conflict with like other stressful events in your life, like school starting or the new year. So we might have a bit of a staggered start or fix the date and time based on what works in your schedule. So I think that's it for application process. We would love to take questions. So I wonder if you want to stop screen sharing here, and maybe Damon, if you have any questions, we would love to hear the Q&A part.
So I guess where I come in, since I'm not a youth,
Mhm,
would I'm guessing it would be to bring in youth to
mhm,
y'all,
mhm.
or yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Avi.
Yeah, I think if you have any youth, either in your personal life or like that you encounter at Williams and Associates, who you think would be interested, and this also goes for anyone who watches the recording and thinks like, oh, it's not a good fit for me, but it could be a good fit for someone I know. I think that would be really helpful. Right now, we are really just looking for people who are a good fit and would be interested in this program. I know it's a little bit of a time commitment for sure, and it is meant to be kind of a pretty immersive cohort experience. So I know that's not going to be for everyone, but if you know any youth and their families who could benefit, I think it would be super helpful if you can send them our way. You can ask them to email us, and I can screen share or just like put in the chat our email. They could also just fill out the form. Either way.
Okay, cool. And also, is this for queer youth and their families, or can it be like just an individual, like one? Yeah, like do you have to have a family to be in this, or be
Yeah,
equipped to?
that's a good question. I think, we're pretty like I think we would be open to talking about it. I think this program is designed to improve interfamily relationships, and so I think the focus of the program and all of the storytelling and the conflict skills and everything are really geared towards how do we use these skills to improve the relationship between a youth and their parent or their grandparent or whoever it might be in their life who may not be as accepting or whatever, they're having conflict. And so I think that would be the focus. But yeah, I mean, I'll put an asterisk on there just because I think there's always room for an exception, but if you feel like there's someone who could benefit from that type of program as an individual, I'm down to talk about it.
Yeah, me too. Because I can imagine someone maybe not having buy-in from those family members, but wanting to learn these skills
Right.
themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.